our top 10 quick comic picks. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our real quick show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can get this week from your local comic book store. You can shop with us over at infinityflux.net or shop with us in the store. We just want to make sure that you have a little bit better idea of some of the awesome stuff that is coming out. And I'm actually going to kick it off this time with something very near and dear to me. That is
Yay.
the Star Wars High Republic Adventures Annual for 2025. And this is really exciting because this is, on top of being an anthology with a bunch of different creators, I worked on this book. I did the art on the first story in here that was written by Charles and Rosemary Soule, which is awesome because I'm such a big fan of Charles Soule. All his Star Wars work and going all the way back to his DC work, all of that. So it was really awesome. I got to work on this. We've got these up on the website. You can get a signed copy, all of that. But yep, just want to start off with something a little personal that I worked on.
And it's cool that you have the first story too.
It's
Like
the
you
first,
brought it,
yeah,
front and center.
I'm the opening act.
Yep. All right, well, next up, I've got the Superman Lex Luthor special. This is a one shot that deals all about Lex Luthor's lost memory that happened to him at the end of the House of Brainiac storyline. Mr. Terrific actually could use the old Lex Luthor's smarts and know how to continue his research on the new universe, which I guess is the absolute universe. And so Superman has to kind of figure out, is it worth possibly bringing back the old Lex just so that we can get his smarts, or do we not worry about that and let Lex be the kind man that he is now? And we do get a definitive answer to that by the end of this book, and it's going to lead into the next big Superman story arc that comes after the Doomsday stuff. And it just fits in really well with the current Superman story.
Next up, I've got Star Wars A New Legacy #1. This is a one shot. This is really cool. It's almost like an annual, but it is celebrating 10 years of Star Wars being back at Marvel, which seems crazy. Feels like just yesterday. But in these, it brings back some of the original creators that worked on those first series back then. I've got Jason Aaron, I got Charles Soule, you've got Kieran Gillen, all of them telling stories that kind of involve the characters that they helped nurture and create back when all of this began. So really fun return of some fan favorite characters and all of that in this oversized one shot.
Well, next we have The Seasons #1. This is a new series from Image from Rick Remender and Paul Azaceta. And this overall story is going to follow four sisters, the Seasons sisters, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, as they try to figure out what happened to their parents who mysteriously vanished one day. That's the overall crux of this whole series. In this one, we spend most of the time with Spring Seasons as she kind of chases a letter around town, and it's very Pixar-like, something you would see in a Pixar movie. But when she does finally get that letter from one of her sisters, you see that there's something actually quite sinister. There seems to be this traveling circus that is laying waste to the towns that they go through, and how does that connect to their parents? I have no idea, but we'll have to find out in this series.
Next up, I've got a big one. This is DC's Lex in the City, and this is kind of the DC Valentine's Day one shot. It's also an anthology, but it's not all like romantic love stories. Sometimes it's about friendship. There's a great one in here about the Teen Titans, kind of reminiscing about when they were younger. And it's also about the cities they live in, which is kind of interesting as well, because there's kind of a Riddler in Gotham series story in here. And I don't know, it's a really interesting selection of topics and characters in this
I
one.
think there's 8 different stories.
Yeah, 8 different stories by very different creators. There's a great Hawkman story at the end of it. So if you're looking for a big, fun one shot to read, there is this one.
Next, we've got X-Men #10, and I wanted to highlight this because Cyclops in this is really cool. So the Office of National Emergency, or ONE as they're known, they attacked the X-Men's base in Alaska because of what the X-Men did at the Grey Malkin prison over these last couple issues. So Cyclops just has a face-to-face meeting with Agent Lundquist and basically stares him down and says, listen, I don't want to go against you guys, but if you force my hand, you will not like what happens. And while this is going on, we see the Hellions going around taking out different ONE bases, and that's really cool too. So just how cool Cyclops is in this. Like, this is the Cyclops that I really like.
Next up, much like yours, I want to talk about Sabretooth The Dead Don't Talk #2 because it was so good. This has been a really cool series. We've only got 2 issues of it so far, but kind of set during the Gangs of New York time frame, but with Sabretooth being kind of the heavy for a local New York gang. But as he is doing very well at this position, the Gangs of New York start kind of evolving and going from these kind of just petty gangs to some are even kind of supernatural based, and he's going to have a bigger threat to face when maybe they're going to start working together, all coming after Sabretooth and the gang that he works for.
Mm.
So, a really fun issue, great art, very brutal, but it's just cool to get a really cool Sabretooth series.
And next we have What If Galactus Transforms Spider-Gwen? And I do believe this is the last of the What If Galactus Transformed blank series. And in this one, Galactus transforms Spider-Gwen into to be his herald. She's out looking for a planet for him to devour. She finds one, but it turns out that the planet she lands on is actually kind of a sword and sorcery fantasy type planet with dragons and adventurers. And she realizes that, oh darn, I can't let Galactus take this planet, and she has to work with them. You may be using a little bit of magic to try to figure out how to stop Galactus from destroying their planet.
And lastly, for me, I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #6, and we want to spotlight this one because this is where series regular artist comes on board, Juan Ferreira, and it is an awesome issue.
Yeah.
The Turtles are back together, but they may be together in proximity, but they are far from working well together. There's just as much infighting between them as there is fighting the foot ninjas that have now overtaken New York City. This is great though, continuing this new run of Ninja Turtles, going in really interesting places and really kind of delving deep into the characters' personalities and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is a fantastic issue of Ninja Turtles.
And last for me is a new book from Mad Cave called Kill Train. And I think the concept is so cool. In the not too distant future, the population has gone out of control. So, in order to try to control that population, New York has implemented a kill train, which is a random train that commuters get on to go to work or whatever. But when you get on that train, you might be on a kill train, and if you are, that means you will not make it to the end. And it's just seemingly random, and it's all about this one woman right here who's having a pretty terrible day in a not so great life, and she finds herself on a kill train, and what will she do to survive?
Well, and that is it for our top 10 quick comment picks. It's a little bit different of a week because it is a fifth Wednesday of the month. That's traditionally where some different kinds of books come out, not your regular releases. You get annuals, that kind of stuff. But this week still has a lot of really great stuff. So definitely check it out. Head over to infinityflux.net. Right now, you can purchase the books that are there while supplies last. And that way, you are guaranteed to get them whether you shop online or in store. Either way, you can still go ahead and order them and either pick them up or they're shipped straight to you. So, a bunch of really cool ways to get cool stuff.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
See ya.
see ya.